Hi everyone, I am Grace from Gardening for Joy. Thanks for joining. Today I'm going to talk about how to use a microwave flower press to press and dry flowers. Now, the specific press that we're going to look at is called the Microfluer Flower Press. Just happens to be one that I purchased and seems to be working rather well for me. So let me just talk about when you open the box what you get. And with the Microfluer, they have two sizes. I think it's a 5-inch and a 9-inch. The one that I'm going to show you is actually the smaller one. It's only the 5-inch one, but seems to be working pretty well for me. So in the box, you get this kind of hard plastic piece and then these little clips. There's two of these plastic pieces and then there's clips that hold it together. Now, when you open it up, inside what you get is you get two pieces of felt, a top and a bottom, and then two pieces of what I consider kind of heavy duty material. And what happens is, and you'll see this, but basically you have a piece of felt, you have a piece of cloth, you put your flowers down, another piece of cloth, another piece of felt, close it, clip it, and then you put it in the microwave. But let me just tell you about some challenges that I've had recently, actually. So these are the original pieces of felt that came with it. And you may have noticed that I burned right through my felt. And I burned through actually both pieces of my felt. And I actually burnt through my linen too. You know, and I tell you this simply because, when you do use a microwave to press flowers, you got to pay attention, right? And I must have lost focus for a minute. And I was drying a marigold that has a pretty thick back and it burnt. I had dried many marigolds before without that problem. Maybe it was a little bit more moist than other ones I had done. But anyway, before I could catch it, it had burnt right through. And so that gave me a problem because every time I dried flowers trying to use these pieces of felt, it really smelled pretty awful because it just kept smelling like burnt felt every time I put it in the microwave. So what I did was I bought my own replacement. So I was able to find this, it's probably about a 1/4 inch thick felt. I found it out on Etsy. I bought a piece and then I just used the original piece as a guide and I cut myself new pieces of felt. So I was really happy that I found this. The other thing that I knew I needed even before, I never thought I would burn through the felt, but I went to the fabric store um, and I brought the original fabric with me. And I asked them to help me find a similar type of fabric so that I could once again use the original and just cut out pieces as the original pieces started to get worn. Or you can see in this one, discolored from the various flowers that you end up drying with the microwave flower press. So really, this was really a huge benefit to buy this extra material. I've cut lots of pieces. I think I bought a yard, so it's really inexpensive to buy something like that. But that's important. You'll eventually find that you need it. Now, the most important piece or the most time-saving piece, so I added something extra that didn't come with the flower press to the flower press, and I'll show you it as we start to dry flowers. Now, when you use the microwave flower press, a lot of times what I was finding is the flowers stick to this cloth, and it can be really challenging to get them off. And so in comes a pressing cloth. And this is just a cloth that you might use when you're ironing, right, to protect your garments. So it's 100% silk organza, but what a difference it makes. So I highly recommend that you get this. Again, not hugely expensive. You should be able to find it in a fabric store. So I just wanted you to know that probably important when you're going to use this process to have some replacements. So let me just put my original pieces to the side right now. And let's look at what's inside my fire press with my, new pieces. So I've got my felt piece. This is the new piece I cut out. I've got my linen piece. It's actually even a little bit more sturdy than a piece of linen. This is the press cloth, right? Just this sheer organza, but it makes a huge difference in in not allowing the flowers to stick, or if they do, to get it off easy. So it's layers, right? So you've got your plastic, you put your felt, you're going to put your white cloth, and then you put your organza, right? And in front of me, I've got a variety of flowers that I thought we would press. And we'll start with some salvia because I love the salvia and I've been pressing it a lot. So I'm just going to take my salvia. The other good thing to think about is I like to, when I take flowers, I like to get them with some leaves on them, because it's a little bit more interesting when you make designs if they have leaves on them. So this is a little bit too big, so I'm just going to snip off a little piece. So there I've got 3 pieces. I'm going to take my silk organza, I'm going to lay it on top, take my white cloth, take my felt, and finally take my plastic piece. I'm going to clip them together. And now that's ready for the microwave. So just a moment to talk about the microwave. I'm going to use the one behind me. It's an 1100 power microwave, which is a pretty strong microwave. Everybody's microwaves are different. And so, how many seconds I use on my microwaves is likely to be different than how many seconds you use. My recommendation to avoid burning through things is always start with lower seconds than you think you need. So I'm going to go ahead and do this for 25 seconds. I think it might take a little bit longer, but we'll start with 25 seconds and see how that goes. Now, you can also modify the power level of your microwave. I tend not to do that. I tend to use it at full power, but you can certainly do that. But again, do it for short bursts and see how it comes out before you try to do it for any longer bursts than that. The other thing you'll see I have in front of me is a dish towel, and that's going to be really important, and I'll show you what we use that for. All right, so it's been in the microwave for 25 seconds. I'm going to unclip it. Now what happens is a lot of condensation forms, and I don't know if you can see it, it might be hard to see, but on the inside of this plastic piece, it's all full of condensation. So what you want to do is you want to wipe that condensation off. That condensation also gets on the felt. So again, I'm going to take my dishcloth and I'm going to just pat it dry just to get the most moisture out of it. I'm going to put that on. I'm going to flip it over because I want to get that moisture off of both sides. Again, take my felt. I'm going to dry that off, just get the moisture off of it. And now I'm going to go ahead and take a peek and see how it is. So I'm going to peel off my first layer of the white cloth. And now I'm going to peel off. And I can see, just by the fact that it's sticking a little bit, there it is. I can tell just by touching it that this is probably going to take a little bit more time. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to clip it back together. Clip it back together. And I'm just going to put it in the microwave for 10 more seconds. And once I take it out of the microwave, I'm going to follow exactly the same process. I'm going to want to get all the condensation off. And the condensation is sometimes a good indication of when the flower is dry. When you don't see the condensation anymore, it might mean that it's really closer to being dry. Right, so again, I'm going to unclip it. I'm going to look, and a lot less moisture this time, but I'm still going to wipe it off. I'm still going to pat my felt dry. I'm still going to do it on both sides, right? Because I want it to be ready for the next set of flowers also. I'm going to peel back my layers. Yeah, and so this is working really nicely. So this is really nicely dry. Generally, after I dry them, I just have a paper towel next to me and I place them on the paper towel. So that's my dried salvia, right? Really pretty, very, very pretty. All right, Perfect. So I am ready now to go again. Now, the other thing that I have been drying all summer, there are these dwarf sunflowers. They're absolutely beautiful. The leaves are beautiful. So let's go ahead and we are going to dry one of these sunflowers. And let me get a scissor because the stem is a little bit long. That's, like I said, this is the 5-inch press. If you had the 9-inch, it wouldn't be so much of a problem. So if you can afford, they're a little pricey, these microfluer flower presses. If you can afford the bigger one, then I would recommend you go ahead and get the bigger one. So I am gonna put my leaf here and my flower. When you do your flowers, you can see I'm laying them upside down, and I try to make sure all the petals are nice and flat against there as I do it. So then I put my press cloth on, I put my linen on, and then I put the felt piece on. And then lastly, I take my cover. Now the sunflowers have a pretty thick center, so you'll find that you have to press a little bit harder for the sunflowers. And with the sunflowers, they take a little bit longer, right? Because they're a little bit bigger flower. So I'm going to start them at 35 seconds and we'll see how that does. Again, I'm always conservative with the timing, simply because of the one experience with burning my original felt. So be conservative with your timing. You can always add more time, and don't walk away. Stay next to your flowers so that you can see how they're doing and check them out after each couple of seconds. All right, so let's go ahead and see what it looks like inside. So again, lots of moisture on the plastic, so I'm going to wipe all that moisture off. I'm going to go ahead and do the same on that felt piece. I'm going to flip it over. Right, lots of moisture on this side too. I'm going to wipe all of that moisture off. Oof, you can see a little bit of steam coming out of this. I'm going to wipe off the moisture on the felt. And then I am just going to take a look at it and just see how it is doing. Now I can see the leaf itself is dry, so I'm going to take that out. The other really nice thing about using this organza is that you can see here that it's sticking a little bit, but all you got to do is just kind of pull it a little bit on the sides, and the petals usually release right off of it. It's a huge benefit to using a microwave flower press. So this particular flower needs a little bit more time. I can just tell it's a little bit hard to take out, right? So back in the microwave it's going to go, and we're just going to again do it for 10 seconds. Just be conservative, right, when you're doing that. Once my flowers, have settled after I've pressed them in the microwave, this is what I store them in. So it's a little homemade packet, and I actually have a blog post and a video out there on how to make these packets. But these keep the flowers safe, and it's all acid-free material. So if you want to understand how to store your flowers, take a look at my post on that one. Okay, let's check out our sunflower and see how it's doing. Again, less moisture. There's still moisture here, but a lot less than there was the first time. Okay, we're going to turn it over. Clear off that moisture. Now let's take a look at our sunflower and see how it's doing. See if we can peel this organza off. All right. So I just pull it a little bit and the petals then release right from it. And look at that. A beautifully pressed sunflower. Isn't that pretty? Yeah, really nice. So that took like 45 seconds to press that. So pretty easy. Let's do a couple more flowers. What I've been pressing all summer long are cosmos. I love pressing cosmos. I've noticed that in the fall, they tend to take a little bit less time pressing. And so I've burnt a couple. When I look for the cosmos, I'm going to look for flowers that are perfect, right? That the leaves don't have any holes in them, that they're really just completely perfect. I place them again face down. And let's do one more here. Let's do this one. And you can see that I have stems on these. I don't want the stems to overlap each other either, because we just want them to all dry separately. So I'm going to try to arrange them as best I can. Put the organza, put the cotton weight square, put the felt, put the plastic piece. Clip them together. Okay, perfect. We will do these for 25 seconds to start with too. You can see I have a lot more flowers in front of me, but I think I gave, a pretty good representative example of different flowers to press. So don't be shy. Flowers without a big back on them tend to work better. So marigolds are a little bit more difficult. Zinnias are a little bit more difficult to press. Those things with those big backs, and those are the ones you really have to be careful of and make sure it doesn't burn your flower press. All right, let's open it up again. Again, lots of moisture the very first time I open it up. Just dry all of that moisture off. Take it, flip it, dry it. There you go. And now we'll just slowly take a peek and see how those cosmos are doing. All right, I'll take off that linen piece, and then I'll see what's going on, if I can get, because as I said, I found that, and I'm going to do it the other way. Just going to flip it upside down. And what I do is, to release the petals, as I said, I will just kind of pull on the organza, and that releases the petals. If I were to do this strictly on the white linen, it would be a lot more challenging. So these are, I can tell they're not quite dry, right? So I did try to take it off, but it really isn't quite dry. So I'm going to do these for another, I think I'll do another 10 seconds. We'll see how that goes. So sometimes that's what you have to do. You have to really try to take them off and see how they're doing. You'll know they're done when, like that leaf, they just hold up pretty stiffly, or like that salvia, right? Nothing is flopping over. It's a pretty stiff, dried piece of flower. All right. So take our clips off. Yeah, hardly any moisture this time. Again, that's always a good indication when the flower is getting dry, because you're pressing all that moisture out of the flower. But it doesn't hurt to make sure everything has got the moisture out. And let's take a look again. Okay. Right. I know it's a little hard to see, but that's that cosmos. Then we have that one. And let's see if I can get this one off. Again, all I'm doing is I'm just gently tugging on this organza and it's releasing the petals. And so look at that, just a perfect little cosmos flower, so pretty. So that's all there is to the microwave flower press. To me, the true secret sauce is this organza. So if you do use one of these flower presses, definitely buy this because it will make things so much easier for you, believe me, because I did start pressing without that and it made a big difference. As I mentioned, this particular brand, it has a 5-inch and I think the other size is 9-inch. I started with the 5-inch because I wasn't sure if I was going to like it, but it's been great. I've been able to press most of my flowers with it, but what I'm noticing is when I have something with a longer stem on it that I want to press a longer flower, this doesn't quite work. Actually, the microwave flower press in general doesn't work if I want a longer flower, and then I tend to use a more traditional flower press. But before I finish, let me just show you now what I do with these flowers. You know, I mentioned how I store them. So I just take them and I put them in my packet that I talked about creating. And as I said on my blog, you can see exactly how to create these packets yourself. Take my sunflower and put it on here. Beautiful cosmos, a pretty leaf. Cover it up, take it, stick it inside the packet. And then I end up putting upside. Be gentle because I just lost one little petal there. And then I put them in a binder. And then I just look through my binder whenever I need flowers, and there I have it. So that's all there is to using a microwave flower press. Good luck should you decide to do it. And certainly check out my blog for a little bit more detailed information on the process. Till next time, bye.